Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. Welcome to my mini mandala series. In these videos, I am showing you how to make beautiful little mandalas that are hopefully relaxing and enjoyable. And we're doing them using a few very basic tools. You do not need anything fancy to create these little mandalas. So I have, let me zoom out a little bit here. I have a 6" by 6" sketchbook. I have a micron pen. This is a PN, plastic nib pen. I have a pencil and a blending tool, a coin, and a little piece of scrap paper. So you don't need a lot. You don't need anything fancy to make these. These are probably all things you have laying around. Any kind of paper will work. Any kind of pen and pencil will work as well. Okay? All right, so this is episode 80. Episode 80. So if you love this video, go back and watch 79 more if you would like. There's so many fun ones. Okay, I'm going to scoop my things off the paper. I'm going to grab my coin, put it somewhere in the middle, and trace it very lightly with my pencil. Okay, I always take my circle and I put in a horizontal and a vertical line. I do not use rulers. I do not measure it. I just sort of guess at where I think the middle is and I extend it out both sides. Just a little ways. I'm going very lightly on my pencil, which I know makes it more difficult for you to see, but I want to make sure that you go light as well. Okay, then I'm going to do a vertical line. Again, just kind of guessing. I can already see that this half of my circle is bigger than this half, so I really should move my line over a bit, but I'm not too concerned. Then I'm going to take each of these little 4 corners here and I'm going to divide those in half and extend those out a little ways. You don't have to go very far. You can always make them longer later if you need to. And we're just kind of glancing down to see if our areas are fairly even. Mine are not perfect. This one right here is pretty narrow, while this one over here is pretty wide, but it's okay. Mandalas are meant to be relaxing, and we're not using measuring tools. We're just kind of guessing, and it's okay if things are not exactly symmetrical. Okay, do you have those lines in? Once you have them in, I want you to grab a little piece of scrap paper. I like to rip paper off of an edge that has a straight line, but then I don't really care about the rest of it, what that looks like. So this is what I use as a measuring tool. I do not use rulers, and I have nothing against rulers. I just don't always have one on hand, but I almost always have scrap paper. So that's why I choose to do that. Okay, I'm gonna put the edge of my scrap paper at the top of my circle. And I'm going to measure out about 1 pencil length and put in a little dash that is on my scrap paper and on my notebook. If you hear a bit of a whirring, is that the right word? A sound in the background. We were gone on vacation all weekend and we came home to 90-degree weather, which, you know, is warm, but our home, the air conditioning stopped working. So we just have a bunch of fans everywhere trying to move the air around so we're not so hot. So If you hear a background noise, that's what that is tonight. All right, I made my first dash about a width of a pencil. I'm going to do another one about another width of the pencil. And again, I'm doing it on the scrap and then also on the notebook. Then I just slide my paper to the next line. Make sure this little edge is right at the edge of my inner circle. And I extend those lines out, making some more dashes. Keep going around. And then these are just going to be our guides for making the next 2 layers of circles in our grid. Once you have those in, we're going to connect these little dashes with curved lines so that we end up with a circle. I enjoy making little dashes with my pencil versus trying to just connect them, because then it always comes out kind of wobbly. But if I can guide my little lines, I tend to make a better circle. So that is what I'm doing. So I do that layer and then I do that outer layer. Go nice and light on your pencil in case you want to adjust them or erase them later. Okay, and if you look at mine and you feel like, goodness, Kelly really makes, really nice circles and straight lines. I do this all the time. I have a lot of practice, and it took me a long time to kind of get the feel for how to make my lines better. So don't compare. If you look up mandalas online, they are so much more beautiful than the ones that I make. And if you do them digitally, they're even better. So we're not comparing. It's okay. And some of my sections are small and some are large, and that's also all right. Okay, we have our beautiful grid in. I always get excited at this point because now it's just a matter of putting pen to paper and enjoying the process. So I'm going to switch over to my pen. And we are going to be working with some like pointy petals today. We have done pointy petals before. In fact, I think just a couple of weeks ago we did one, but I really enjoy them. And so that's kind of what I felt like doing today. All right, we're going to start at this middle point here. And I'm going to, I'm going to put a little dot there. And then I'm going to put a dot up here on the very top. So it's this middle section here, and then this one, and then this one. So a dot at the very top of those 3. Okay, now a rainstorm just started. I didn't even know it was going to rain. So now we have even more beautiful noise. It's beautiful on my end, but I don't know about how it comes across the camera. Okay, I'm going to make a nice bold curve, and I'm gonna let it try to maybe touch this line over here as it comes back down. It doesn't have to, it's just sort of my guide. So I'm just gonna go like this, and then like this. See how I kind of touched those edges there? Then I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I'm going to put a little dot out here on the end. And I'm going to make a curved line that comes all the way out to here. and then all the way out on this side. So every time I create a mandala, I try to introduce something just a little bit unique. And it's not necessarily more unique than a different video, but if I were just to, if I didn't have a YouTube channel and I wasn't teaching you, I would probably just sit and make floral mandalas the rest of my life. I just love little bumps, little petals. They would all be floral. But I really try as your instructor, as your coach, as your teacher, to introduce kind of some new things. And so this is something we've done before. It's not brand new. But this idea that you don't have to do one circle and then the next and then the next. You can actually extend some of your shapes really far out and just let them be big. So it's just kind of a fun thing to do. The other thing today is that we're not going to do identical ones on this side that are identical to these. We're going to do shorter ones just for fun, just because we can, okay? So I'm going to put a little dot on the center line here, not the outer line. And I'm going to make a curve and a curve. Same thing over here, a dot on that center line, a curve and a curve. This is feeling very, very familiar to me, like maybe a few videos ago, we used these same shapes and extended them out. I guess I'm just in a pointy petal mood. Okay. So I have two large ones, two smaller ones, and now I have these cute little like triangular areas here that would be really fun to do a fun design in, or maybe add a little aura that highlighted that triangular shape. But I'm going to put in circles. If you don't love making circles, then maybe you could do an aura and just give this shape a little trace. But that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in a circle that goes all the way out to this middle line. And once I put my circles in, it really highlights like how sort of off center some of my things are. And again, that's okay. I'm not gonna worry about it. But like, look at this one here. That line is way over there. This one's way over here. That could be because of the way that I put the lines in, or because of how wide or narrow I made these little petals. So don't overthink it. Look how beautiful this is. It doesn't matter that it's not perfectly even or straight. Okay, are you ready for the next part? I'm going to take each of these circles and I'm going to add an aura around the top. So that means I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go all the way around like this. And if I have room down here, I can even add it down there. Look how cute that is. Going all the way around it and even down here if you have room. If not, it's okay. And I love that the circle is fully visible, but that outer edge looks like it's tucked in behind those other petals. So fun to play with auras and tucking them behind things. I'm going to use my pen to ink in these little triangular spaces that are left over underneath those circles. This one I colored too close and you can't really see the aura, and it's okay. It's still beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to add an aura to these 4 petals. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to go up and then down on this side. up here and on this side. That one got really wide on me. It's okay. I think it's because I'm so hot tonight. Like my hands are sweaty. I'm so hot right now. So maybe I'm rushing. I don't know. But things are coming out pretty uneven and I kind of love it. Because then people know it's hand drawn. So many things are digital nowadays or AI. And anyone can, speak into their phone or their computer and say, create a mandala, and it'll be beautiful, but it won't have that relaxing, true feeling that you built it yourself. So, okay, got our little auras in. Okay, now we have all these little nooks in here, right, where things are coming together. So right here in this little one here, I'm going to go out and make another little circle. Okay, so it's just going to kind of nestle in like this one did. And I'm not even having it touch this outside. It's just a little small circle. And then I can put one right here as well. I'm trying to make them about the same size. It's okay if they change a little bit. So I think in the beginning I said we were going to do a lot of these like pointy petal shapes, but we're kind of doing more circles than petals. I didn't realize that when I started. So you should end up with 8, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, and then 2 on each of the sides. I'm really loving how this is turning out. Okay, we're going to aura these. So we're just going to add in this little outside line. I don't really have room down here, so I'm just going to let it stay white as if it's part of that aura. Go around and down. It's okay if they're super uneven. Auras are tricky. It's easier to trace something than it is to like make a line following another line. Look how pretty. So check and make sure you did all of those. Okay, do you have those in there? All right, we're gonna keep on going. Okay, so now we have these like large circles here in the corners with the 2 on either side, and I'm going to add a pointy petal. So my pointy petal is I'm just gonna ignore this pencil line now because my drawing doesn't match up to that at all. So I'm not gonna worry about that pencil line, but I am going to imagine like the halfway point, and I'm gonna make this kind of curved pointy petal going up and down the other side. And it goes out to that outer line. So this one here, I'm gonna ignore my pencil line, and I'm gonna go at about the halfway point, halfway between these 2 smaller circles, and I curve out to it, and then I curve out on the other side. So you should be able to make 4 of these. Some are going to be wide, some are going to be narrow. It's okay. I love each little layer and detail we add. Okay, once you get those 4 in, I want you to peek at mine and notice this one's nice and wide and bold. This one's really narrow and kind of short. This one's kind of small, this one's kind of big. It's okay. All right, we're going to aura those, which means we're going to be putting lines around the outside of them. So many auras today. All right, how is yours looking? How are you feeling about this design? I hope that you are loving it. It's only been 20 minutes and look at the beautiful thing we've already created and we're not even done. Okay, so now I still have these outer lines here and this is a nice shape, but it's kind of square and I want to sort of round out my mandala. So now I'm going to go on these 2 sides, so side and side, and I'm going to put a dot out here at that middle little spot, and I'm going to curve down in to that petal there. So around the outside of the circle, same thing over here. I'm going to curve down into there. And I'm just going to go ahead and aura it right now because I already know that's what I want to do. Okay, let me do it again over here. I'm going to put a dot on that outer edge and I'm going to go from this side of the circle right by this little petal and I'm going to curve up and stop, up and stop. And it might end up rounded, it might end up pointed, it doesn't matter. And then do your aura like that. I like how that rounded things out for us just a little bit. Okay, now we have all of these beautiful little layers, all of these little petals and little circles, and it looks amazing. But now to kind of bring it all together, give it a little hug and just make it all solid, we're going to do an aura around the whole thing. If you wanted to, you see these pencil lines I still have left of this circle? It would be so pretty to trace that and ink in with dark ink all of these little areas. So you've got a really bold outer round circle, and then you could aura it. That's not what I'm going to do today, but as always, you take these and you do what you want with them. There are no rules. You do not have to follow exactly what I'm doing. Oh, I can't even focus. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. So if you have the urge now to add more petals and keep going, then please do so. Okay, I'm going to aura my whole thing. It's just gonna kind of bring everything together. It's going all around every shape that we've made. Just going all the way around. Breathing, focusing. Okay, I really love how that looks. So we're not done. We're going to fill in some details. But as you finish doing your aura, I'm going to grab my eraser. This is a kneaded eraser that's kind of gummy. And it works so well at erasing our pencil lines. Just want to make sure that your ink is dry so it doesn't smudge. And I love when we begin with a circle, but then the circle disappears into a new pattern. There we go. At this point, we have so many possibilities. We have so many beautiful little areas that we can shade. We can add little patterns in. You can get as intricate and delicate as you want, or you can go nice and bold. But this is such a fun point in the mandala because it looks amazing as is, but now every little detail we add is just going to be, I don't know, it just adds some interest to it. Okay, so back to our pens. I'm gonna start with a little bit of texture. So I'm gonna go to these two outer like little wide petals that we did, and I'm going to put in a line, and then I'm just gonna put in really thin lines on both sides of that line. And same thing on this side. Lines are always a great idea. Just straight little lines. Okay, we've got these 4 outer little petal shapes. I'm going to turn those into leaves. And what I'm going to do is put a line up the center. And on one side, I'm going to do little diagonal stripes. But on the other side, I'm just going to put 3 dots. And I want to make this one be the mirror of that one. So I'm going to put a line in. And this one's much larger than that one, but it's okay. The patterns still work. This one I did the lines on the top, so this one I'm going to do the diagonal lines on the top as well. And then the 3 little dots down the side. Two more down here. I'm going to add those center lines first on each of them. And since these top ones, I made the diagonal lines on the top, on these ones, I'm going to make them on the bottom. It really, really doesn't matter. That's just what I feel like doing today. And then I put in my 3 little dots. Look how it's changing as we add these little special things. All right, let's go into these 2 large ones here. So for these, we have a pretty symmetrical thing going on, but I'm going to add a little bit of curve to this one. So this is going to be fun. I'm going to go from the top of this like seed shape here. And I'm gonna end up at the bottom of it. And inside of it, I'm gonna do a lazy S shape. So I'm gonna go like this and like this. And then I'm gonna go just down a little bit from that first S shape, and I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna end up right back down at that point. Then go down a little bit, down to that point. I'm pretty much out of room, but there might be room for maybe the top of one there, and then it would disappear. Down in the bottom one, I'm going to do that S shape again. So I start at the middle and end at the bottom. So I'm just going to do a little curvy S. But then on this one, I'm going to go on the left side, not the right. And I'm going to go up a little bit from here, and I'm going to curve, follow it, and then tuck into that middle. Go up a little bit, curve, follow it up into the middle, and then maybe I would see a little bit of one there. Doesn't even have to match exactly like it is up here. Doesn't have to be as many lines, but look at that cool flow we have going. Love that. Okay, now we have this cool shape in here. It's almost like a long teardrop. I'm going to start at the bottom, right in that point again, and I'm going to aura it and then come back down. Does that make sense? Like I kind of followed it up and gave it a little point and then came back down. And same thing on this side. I'm just going to sort of do an inside aura like that. And they look different from each other, and that's okay. If you want, you could ink that in. You could add a little line and a dot to it. You could add some striping. Even in these curvy little S shapes, you could fill in one of those. Maybe we will at the end if we have time. But so many things you can keep embellishing even after I stop. Okay, these two here, I'd like to make them match these leaves out here. So I'm going to put a straight line across each of them. You can do something totally different if you would like. And then over here, I'm going to do these little diagonal lines on the top. And over here, I'll do them on the bottom. And I always just sort of envision this V shape, okay? So my V would be, you know, like opening up to the top. And I'm not doing the second half of the V, but that helps me know what direction to put these. If you put them in the different direction, it will still work. But that's just kind of what I do. Then I'm going to add those 3 dots like we did on the outer ones. All right, we're so close to being done. All right, these 4 big circles here, I think it'd be fun to add that striping texture again. So that's what I'm gonna do. If you just wanna do striping on half, you can, or if you wanna make them go at angles, you can, but I'm going to imagine them all heading towards the center. So I'm gonna put in that first line, and now you've got options. You can just do parallel lines, or if you want, you can make them all come to a point and then go up and out. I'm just gonna do parallel lines, but you always have options. There's always a choice. My next one, I'm putting in that line as if it's coming from the center and coming outward. I'm just moving around till I get all 4 of those large circles filled in. Some have really narrow lines, some have wider lines. It's okay. I love all the movement in this one. We've got some wiggly lines, we've got straight lines, we have diagonal. What fun. Okay, I'm gonna go to these 8 little circles that are kind of surrounding the whole thing, and I'm just gonna put in a little curve on that top right side of each of them. You could rotate that as you go around, but I'm not gonna try to think that hard. Just making them look like little bubbles. And now I think it'd be fun to go back into these 2 large ones here and add a little bit of detail. So I'm loving these little dots that we did. And I think it'd be fun to take this first big curve here and put dots in it. So I'm going to do that. So down here it'd be this first wide one. I love that. And then we have these 2 little like wiggly petals that we made. So we've got some options. We can do some dots, we can do some lines, we could put in a little line in a dot. So many things we could do. I think I'm gonna go with dots again. So I'm gonna do a small one, a larger one, and a small one. A small one, a larger one, and a small one. I love how this one turned out. I love the balance of it. I also love how small some of these turn out. Let me get my little coin. Where did I set it? I have not left this table. How did I lose my coin? All right, I'm not gonna worry about it. But you can see just like how small it is. And I kind of love that. All right, I'm gonna put my initials and then we're gonna do some shading. I feel like because we did all of those dots, we should add some dots to the outside. What do you think? Let me try it and then you can decide if you like it or not. 1, 2, like a little bigger and then smaller, just around these pointy outer edges. Why does that add so much? While you're doing that, I'm going to write episode 80. Okay, we're gonna do some shading, but I wanna tell you really quick that on all of my pages, like you don't need to sit here and read them all, but on all of my pages, I write the episode, I write the date, and then I write 1 or 2 sentences about what is going on in my life, what's going on with my family, what's going on in my heart. And I love going back and just reading those weekly. I don't read them every week, but as I make my weekly mandalas, I love going back and reading what was going on at the time. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a bit and grab my graphite pencil. It's always a fun time to take a picture of your mandala before and after the shading. All right, this has a lot going on, a lot of texture going on, so I'm not going to add a lot of graphite, but I still want to do a little bit. So in the middle here, I'm going to put a little bit in each of these bottom sections of these petals. I like having a dark middle. And then just bringing that part way out into each of those sections. Got a little dark for me, so I can dab some of that off. And then these little circles here, I'm just gonna put a tiny bit where they tuck in behind those petals. So a little bit right here where it tucks in, and a little bit here. A little bit on this side and this side. Here and here. And when I soften those and pull them out a little bit into the circle, it's going to give that illusion of them really being tucked in behind there instead of just lines that bump into each other. Look at that depth now. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to go to these 4 big circles again, but I'm going to go on that outside edge of that aura, and I'm going to go all the way over to this petal, over the little circles, over the little leaf, and over the other side. So I'm just going right along this outer edge. You don't need a lot of graphite, just a little bit. And when I take my blending tool and I soften that and push and pull it away from that circle, it's going to add another bit of layering. I love that. And now I'm going to go into these 2 sections here where we have those lines, and I'm going to go on the all the way around that inside edge. So I'm just taking my pencil, giving it a little trace on that inside edge. And when I soften that, I want to leave that middle nice and light, but soften these inner edges. Look how pretty. And the last thing that I've enjoyed doing lately is taking my blending tool that already has some graphite on it. If it doesn't have a lot of graphite, you can take your pencil and add more. And I like just going along the outer edge so lightly. And it gives the slightest shadow. And there we go. There's our very delicate, very intricate mini mandala of the week. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that these are things that you can repeat and make your own. So go ahead and draw it again. Start with the same steps, but then fill it into what you enjoy or what you like the best, and eliminate the parts that you don't love. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Please share your work on my Facebook page called Let's Tangle. You can also sign up for my newsletters that go out monthly with all kinds of fun things in them. And that can be found at www.minsofzen, minsofzen.com. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.